Hi everybody. This is a video that is going to be kind of like a testimonial to what I've been through in the benzo harm world, like my journey, um, and how I got to where I am today. I just finished a taper a month ago. I'm doing really well. I'm going to put some disclaimers right at the beginning. I've tried to do this now for like I think 6 times, and every time I'm digressing, and my mind goes everywhere. I'm like finding myself 40 minutes in and not even talking about how it started taking the benzos. Probably would have been better to just write it all down, but honestly, it's so demanding to do that. I'm still a bit foggy, I guess. I actually just took my the CBD oils for me to go to sleep. It usually kicks in about 3 hours, which is why I took it like an hour ago. And hopefully, I won't get all woozy. Woozy, is that a word? All like up there. I guess yeah. Before I end this thing, and I want it all to be very personal, which is why I don't actually. I wrote some some headers for me to remember, but I'll try to make it very fluid, because I want to be more personal and more do it more fluidly and organically rather than see it and edit it. Probably will need to edit a little bit, but yeah. A few things. This is all my opinion. I'm not a doctor. You'll see in my opinion, doctors don't really know much anyway. But I'm definitely not one, and I don't have any training with mental health yet. I hope to start actually soon to help other people like in a more formal way. But everything that I say is my opinion, including what I'm going to talk about, with people. I think if someone who's not so harmed will see it, will say like, no way that all of those people, harmed him or like were so careless. You need to talk to a few mental harm people to understand that there's so much ego with doctors. With a lot of people think like a lot of them think that they know the best. A lot of them like not even doctors. Also, I found in the Benzo community. Group admins of some groups, you know, uh, naturopaths, things like that, are so convinced that they know everything that they even gaslight sometimes people. They say, "Oh, what you said didn't really help me," and they say, "No way." And so I'm very humble. I'm very humble. I always was. I don't. I never thought that I know everything, or that I can learn more. And I, like everyone, I have my own ego, and I obviously get upset. I'm a classic cancer. Which became more mild actually with the benzo withdrawal. Yeah, you're much less, for me at least, much less angry and way more distressed and looking, running around like a mouse in a maze. But yeah, so for the same reason that I say this, I also say that I don't remember everything 100%. Luckily, Google is following you, so I have the timeline feature and I can see where I was in certain times and things like that. But I also I'm not. I try not to make it too, uh, too mechanical. So again, disclaimer: not everything is. I could have some issues if there are some. If there is some things that I forgot, or that I misrepresented, I'm going to make in the comments. Uh, I'll put a message in the comments, and if you think differently, then please, by all means, talk to me on the comments. I'm not deleting anything unless it's abusive, of course. I'm all for open dialogue. Um, and yeah, so that's that. And the other thing is, I am going to use nicknames for doctors and things like that. I won't hide names of like the hospitals that I've been in, because I'm in Australia, and I don't have to worry about defamation in that regard. in big organization, but I do not want to be even in a position where someone is threatening me with this kind of thing. Uh, if I do mention names and I do mention situations, just know that everything is recorded. Like as in um, all the conversations that I had with doctors here, for CBD doctors, things like that. Um, it's all documented. So if you're one of those people and you look at this video right now, well, it's all documented and sometimes recorded. Actually, most of the time, especially like the Zoom and telehealth things. So yeah, warning. With that out of the way, I'll tell a little bit about myself. I am originally from Israel. My name is Guy. I grew up there and I moved out when I was 22, I think, or 23. I finished my degree in computer science. I moved to England for a year. I couldn't stay in England. I wanted to, but back then at least I didn't have the option. So I applied to become a permanent resident of Australia. And after a year of waiting and being very, very anxious about it, not anxious, not benzo anxious, but I was, hoping and dreaming. I got the visa and I moved to Australia. Um, and just a little bit of, of the background. It really started. This whole journey started because of SSRIs rather than benzo. Benzo was supposed to help with starting a new SSRI, and so and because of an acute situation where I was in a lot of anxiety, which we'll get to, and so the reason why for that is maybe genetic, maybe I have OCD. I have it wasn't a very uh, debilitating, but it was there. And when I grew up, and toward the last few years, it became a problem to my relationships with my family and with friends, and so I wanted to take care of it. But I also, if you have OCD, you'll know that I don't want to get too deep into what was because it changes actually. Like the thing that you're OCD about changes, but um, and I don't want to also be too uh, you know talk about my family too much because that's not fair for them. But obviously, I had issues from childhood till and in my childhood, I also had sleep paralysis, which was really really scary. And I had issues with. I was in the army, and it was very traumatic for me. I was in. I'm gay. I had to hide my sexual orientation until I, for most of the people, my family knew since I was 14, 15, but my friends and family, like it took a while, and I did need to hide it. And anyone gay person will tell you that every time, especially in a country like Israel, when you tell someone that you're gay, you're always fearing the worst reaction. So there were a lot of points of stressors that caused me to need something. After the army, I was very depressed for 2 years, and after that, I sort of was. It took away a lot of my happiness. Also, some violent incidences before that when I was a teen. It took a lot of my sunshine, as I say, and so when I was here, I did start to think about taking. I saw psychologists since I was 15, sometimes, and I never found them helpful. And here, especially, I found that a lot of them were extremely damaged themselves to the point that they did decisions with me that were or talked in a way that was literally gaslighting me. Literally, like I was. You could tell that their personal ideas of what's right and what's wrong and what and how to do things and not do things, and really influenced them to the point that they didn't even listen to me. And yeah, and so I did try that route, but it never stayed with a psychologist, sorry, for a long time. Now, my mom is a psychiatrist, a child and adolescent psychiatrist. She worked in Israel until 5 6 years ago when she moved to Australia. And ironically, she can't work in Australia, despite the fact that I'm going to mention later that to see a psychiatrist you need to pay like $500 to $600 here, and wait 6 months sometimes, or sometimes even a year, for someone to have availability. It's absolutely ridiculous, and they don't have enough psychiatrists, and which is probably why one of the reasons why one of the sins that happened in the hospital here that I got on the Benzo. We'll get to that. But she's a child and adolescent. Psychiatrist. She was always against. She doesn't like giving pharmaceuticals so much. She knows about the side effects. She's aware of the potential for addiction. She's with both SSRIs and benzos and other things. She would definitely give that to people that really need it, bipolar and things like that. But she works with child and adolescents, so she never actually gave benzos to anybody. We did use benzo in the family, sort of like we had access to it. So I used Lorazepam. Everyone, all of my family, we always used Lorazepam. In Israel, it's called Lorizon, quite a popular drug there. And in Australia, it's called Ativan, and I think it's in other places in the world as well. And I would take it maybe once every 2 months or something. It was also difficult to get. In Australia, a lot of doctors are aware that it's damaging. They don't know what to do with it. If they find someone that is or that needs help, most of them will just not know what to do. But they are aware enough that they don't prescribe it, which is again a big problem. We'll see in the later why that is like such a big issue. And um, and yeah, so I'm aware of benzos. I knew that they can be addictive. I had no idea what it means. For me, I never took any drugs, any illegal drugs. I never, once in my life, I smoked pot and it did nothing for me. Alcohol makes me tired, and like it's extremely, I don't like the taste. It's unpleasant for me. It's not like, and cigarettes. That's one of my OCDs actually, was against cigarettes. So no, absolutely not. Made me angry that people smoke in my presence. Make me angry that people litter the butts. Makes me angry that people can be so selfish when they consume cigarettes. So, and the smell is absolutely horrible. So I think maybe once I tried to smoke, maybe, and again, it was like, what? It doesn't do anything. So I was lucky in that regard. But I think in that context, it was kind of like, couldn't believe that I got into a point where I was actually addicted, physically dependent. The benzo community doesn't like the word addiction, because it's not classic addiction in the fact that you need the substance. Like cigarettes, sometimes cigarettes can be physical, but it also has a lot to do with the access to it, and the social aspects of it, and things like that. So um, I never, yeah, it was very weird for me. But again, see, I digress. So let's go back to the story, I guess. Um, at some point, I tried. My mom always gave Stabilium to people. Stabilium is a supplement that is quite amazing. It really helps with anxiety and depression. It doesn't have side effects, and it's not addictive. However, I took it sometimes. It's very expensive. that's something that shits me because it shouldn't be. I used to she used to ask me to find it for her patients from overseas when we had internet. She used it from the 90s, and in Israel it was extremely expensive. The she used to say that the person who imports it makes probably so much money. It was in Australian dollars. Let's talk US dollars actually. If it's Israel, I'll just translate it to that. It's about $50 per pack of 30. And you need to take at least three for at least 2 weeks for it to have an effect. And so 10 days is $50, 10 days. So you need $150 US dollars, so 240, maybe 200, something like that. Australian dollars for for that kind of packaging. But in every country, they it seems like there's a different distributor, and the price is crazily different. So in Europe, it's actually cheaper. It's a different company that distributes it, and it's 90 for about the same price. For about no, actually less, for about 60 Australian dollars, so about 40 US, which makes much more sense. But again, digressing, but basically that's what she was giving to people. But of course, if they needed a better treatment, she would do that, like not a better treatment, but when they needed something, pharmaceutical, she was very popular, and she was very successful in helping people. And I tried it and I never took it properly, I guess. I never took it for the 2 weeks that you need to actually feel the difference. And so I kind of dismissed it. And that's a shame because you'll see later it could have saved me, and it did. Like as it is at the moment, I'm taking it and it's really helpful. In any case, I at some point told her, like, I need something for my depression, and she said, "Well, why won't you take Prozac? Because Prozac is the old SSRI. It has a long half life. It's more tolerated. The newer ones, she said, have a lot of side effects like weight gain and sexual problems and uh, you know and things of that sort, and emotional blunting." And so I, started taking Prozac, and I was okay. It helped. It never. I sort of expected it to make me feel happy. It never made me feel happy. It made me feel okay, like that I can handle life. Um, I was a programmer, and it can be, moving to a new country and all of that was quite lonely here, and so um, it worked. Not again, not really, but it made it a bit better. When the OCD started to make me have more problems, I moved to Sertraline. Um, I always was working with like a GP. I did try with a GP here, Effexor, and it gave me Brenzaps on the first day, and I said no, no way, and I stopped. And then because the Prozac was working, I did decide to try something that's supposed to work for OCD, which is sertraline, and I took it, and I took it. Uh, it was very easy for me, as in I don't remember having issues tapering off the Prozac and starting the sertraline. Maybe some brain zaps a little bit and things like that, but nothing major. And I was stable on it. It didn't really help with the OCD that much, but a little bit maybe. And and yeah, it became my what I take, basically the habit. What I take sertraline. Um, I I felt again my my depression was managed. It wasn't. I was able to be a functional member of society. It was fine in that regard. I did enjoy some things. I did, I was normal, I guess, just with some underlying, depression in the background. And now we're getting to the Benzo story, I promise. So, because I'm already, again, going all over the place, I'll just check the time. Yeah, okay, definitely time to do that. So, at the end of 2022, I'm not going to go into detail. I did the last try, but it takes too much time. I was basically in the financial trauma, kind of. A lot of things were going wrong. One of them was not just affecting me. It was the rise of the interest rates. You know, crazy all over the world, not just here, but basically after the pandemic. So what happened? I'll give some context. During the pandemic, everyone that had a mortgage could have switched to fixed term mortgage, which was 2% or so, which was the cheapest I've ever paid in Australia. It was half the rate that was going on before, and I did pay 7% and 8% and 9% before as well. So that was really good, but it's fixed. So it's fixed for I think 2 or 3 years. I signed for I don't remember how long, but I think it was 3 years. But and then in 2024, middle of, like or no, actually 2023, I was going to come off it, and because the price because and most people are on variable rates, because I was coming off the fixed term, I had no idea how much I'm going to pay. On top of that, I was doing crypto mining. Crypto mining stopped being profitable. Everyone stopped. My equipment was worth a third of the price that I paid for it, and I was okay compared to other people. I didn't lose a lot. Like I think I didn't lose and I didn't make money, but suddenly from a place of like feeling very secure financially, um, I was feeling like I'm going to drown. I had no idea what's going to happen, um, and yeah, and I was depressed because I didn't want to go back to doing Airbnbs anymore. Airbnb is horrible, um, and and yeah, I was really stressed. Now going back a little bit, I'd stopped taking sertraline in the middle of 2022. I went to the doctor in the after hours, and I told her that I have emotional blunting, that I don't love people that as the same way that I should love them, and I feel like numb. I feel like just swimming through life without even looking, and that I'm gaining weight and all of that. And she said, "Well, you're not taking the right drugs." She said that you can take Agomelatine, and it's so much better, and it will help you. So I tapered off the sertraline. It was super easy. I tapered off for me in a month and a half. Didn't feel any side effects while I was doing it. I was doing it linearly. Today I know that that's not how you do it, but that's how the doctors think that you should do it. So I just cut from 200 to 150 to 100 to 50 to zero. When I got to zero, I started to have restless leg syndrome for a few days. It was very difficult for me to sleep. My legs were literally dancing in bed. And so sort of had to kick. And and she said, "Oh, I'll just give you some Valium. It will help you." And that was the first time I took Valium. I heard about it. People said, they take Valium. That was like, that seems to be like the famous drug for anxiety. And she gave me 5 milligrams, which now I know is equivalent to, and I have that here too because I just want to make sure that I don't say things that are not right. But so I took 5. So that's equivalent to 1 milligrams of Lorazepam. And I didn't feel it really. I didn't feel the same feel that I get from Lorazepam, as in like relaxed and able to go to sleep. I felt really nothing. It didn't really do much for me. But I did go to sleep and it did go away. And after a week, I was fine and I stopped taking it. So that was all good. And it was because of that later I took lorazepam. So I'll explain how again. It's hard to sort of like put everything in order. Basically, Agomelatine was great. After 6 weeks, I started taking it, and I fell asleep that night, and I slept for 8 hours straight. And it never ever happened to me in my adult life. That I just went to sleep, I I blacked out, and I woke up 8 hours later. I didn't even remember any dreams. It was like it's like someone switched off the light, switched on the light, and it was 8 hours later. And that was a bit annoying because I love my dreams. Dreams are like a way for me to escape reality. I mean, for a lot of us, but yeah, and I have a lot of lucid dreams too. But it worked, and it helped, and again, not nothing spectacular. I wasn't, wasn't dancing on the roof, but I was again happy, able to manage. Now, one of the things that was interesting is that the sertraline actually helped me with my anxiety, because I'm kind of a fearful person, and when you work, and I found that when I work with Airbnb, when you work a lot with a lot of angry people, and you work with the company itself, which is absolutely horrendous, the way that it handled hosts, and especially during the pandemic, they just got really, really bad. So before they were not easy to, like, the hosts were like screwed so many times, but now it was absolutely insane. Like, you would talk to them about a bad guest, and it would, would answer you once a week about it, and not really give you help when you need it. But I still managed to do it. I was fine. So when that financial trouble started, the Agomelatine didn't cover that stress. I found that it's a bit silly because in retrospect, I should have just, I had good reasons to be in anxiety. It came to the peak was when I had a problem with my tenant in Brisbane, because I had like he was causing damages, and then we had a big argument about the bond and all of that, and I was go and that, and plus another huge bill from the electricity. Everything just became like too much for me. I was I never had an anxiety attack, and that's when coming to uh, that's why I mentioned that I'm from Israel originally. You can hear English is not my first language. I know what anxiety is. I know what stress is. I thought it's the same thing back then, and I also didn't understand that a panic attack is when you think you're going to die and you have physical symptoms that are very severe. I did not understand that panic is not a panic attack, and anxiety is not anxiety attack, and what's the difference and all of those things. So I got there. I got to the doctor that I did like, and I told that gave me the Agomelatine, and I told her, listen, it doesn't work. I'm very anxious. I mean, I have a reason to be anxious, but I'm way more anxious than I thought I would be. I was much more calm with the SSRIs, so I want to go back to SSRIs. She told me that what she really thinks is that I need to go to see a psychologist. I explained to her that I already did, and maybe I should, but right now I need something quickly. And she said, okay, I'll switch you back, but first, even though you're not supposed to taper, maybe take a few days, give a few days for the drug to leave the system, and then we'll maybe in a week come back and we'll give you an SSRI, and we'll choose one that is better. And I said, okay. And the minute and she also gave me, she wanted to give me Valium again, and I said no. I said last time I took it, like I said, I didn't feel anything. I know that I know I all my life I've all my adult life I took Lorazepam, uh, rarely, but I did, and it worked well. So I rather take that. She didn't really like it. She said, "It's an old drug, maybe Xanax or, And I said, "No, no. I want Lorazepam." So she said, "Okay," and she gave me 100. um, Now, from my perspective, that was like winning the lottery. I'm joking, but it was like good because it's hard to get it normally. Like I said, a lot of doctors don't give it, and basically instead of just being so precious about it, like I only have like four left until maybe, and my parents are here now. I can't get it from Israel anymore, so just need to be careful. I mean, obviously, I'm not going to get it from anywhere else. Like I said, I'm a goody two shoes. So I said, okay, that's good. But you said, like again, like last time, it will help me, while I was going on top of, like when I started the Benzo and when I started the new SSRI and when I get just to make sure that I'm not too depressed and too anxious. And I got so depressed. I was so depressed. I stopped taking the Agomelatine cold turkey, and within days, I think, I was super depressed, crying, you know, really bad. Um, and I did talk to Lorazepam, but it didn't do anything for the depression. Um, and so I basically, um, I didn't know what to do. And a week after, my mom said, uh, basically, go to the hospital. So we were very naive. In Israel, if you go to the hospital, I mean, there is a shortage of doctors, of course, everywhere. But if you go to the hospital, you have a big problem that you need to fix, uh, like an acute depression or something like that. You will see someone. So it might take a long time because obviously it works as the triage is like if someone comes and is like more you know, suicidal or something like that, then they'll see them first. But you'll see someone. So I went to the Gold Coast University Hospital, which is like 7 minutes drive from my house and maybe 20 minutes walk, very very close. And I asked them to see a psychiatrist. I told them my situation, and they were very nice. And they said, "Sure, of course, just wait in the reception, like in the ER, and someone will see you. It might take some time, but someone will see you." And I waited. It was 1 o'clock when I got there. It was the 25th of Jan, Wednesday, and I was sitting there um, for 5 hours. And one of the problems is when you feel that you're in the hospital, everything is okay, you can just sit there and think, because you're in the hospital, so, you're in a safe place. Um, I got better. I basically was sitting there like a nice kid and waiting, and I saw a lot of people that are much worse off than me, like puking and uncontrollably and stuff like that. So I was all very sick. So I was okay, compared to them, and I waited and I waited and I waited. I asked sometimes, who can see me, who can't, and then 5 hours later, at around 6, I got someone there to who came and called me, and he said, "Listen, it was a big mistake. I'm going to actually investigate it because no one should have told you that you're going to see a psychiatrist. You're not going to see one." And I protested. I was angry. I was very, trying to sort of like advocate for myself, say, "Look, I really need to see someone. I can't wait 6 months and I can't pay $600. I literally just like in a financial hole, and I just I need someone to tell me I don't want to go to the GP." And he started to tell me that, "Oh, you don't understand. You're not from here. In Australia, it's the GPs that actually take care of the mental health stuff, not the psychiatrists." Which was true and false. It's not how it's supposed to be. I think it's because of the way because there's such an acute shortage of psychiatrists. You can't see one, which is ironic, by the way. My mom can't get a license here because she'll need to do her whole like she has 40 years of experience, but she'll need to do the training again and then do the tests again and all of that. And she's like old, like 65, I think she was back then. So obviously she was not going to do that. It's also like very humiliating for someone to do after 40 years in the doing it. So um, but that's why they just don't have like people when you actually need them. And so um, I was very defeated. I went home, and then I was like, okay, I'm going to go back to the clinic because that doctor, the nice doctor that I liked, was there. so I went there and they told me she's sick. Not only she's sick, we called the replacement doctor, and it's a doctor that I have seen before over there that I didn't like at all. But that's what you have, and I was like, okay. At this point, I was ignoring a lot of red flags already because I just needed help, and that's the only way I could get help. Anyway, I waited 2 hours. He came, I guess, from the hospital, and he was completely like falling asleep in front of me. Like I was sitting in front of him, and he was like, "What do you want? What do you need? What do you want?" He asked me 4 times. What I'm there for. Even when I started talking, sometimes he would fall asleep, and then he admitted, "Oh, you know what? I'm just falling asleep here." So already it became like a horror movie, and I was like, I'll just get what I need from him, and I told him, look, that other doctor uh, gave me um, gave me Lorazepam. I need something that is longer acting, maybe, because I don't want to take it 4 times or 3 times. She said I'll take 1 milligram 2 to 3 times a day. I want something that would cover me for the day, because like Valium, um, and I wasn't sure that that's what I really need, but I told him, like, um, I want to go on the SSRI. I think maybe I should wait with that too, because I have the other things, and I'm supposed to sort of like wait. I don't want to mix it too much. And he said, I think that's what it was. Again, I'm not 100% sure, but I think that's what I said. And he said, okay. And then he literally looked up the computer, what, like the table that I have in front of me now, like a web page or something. Maybe it's an official one, maybe not. But basically, the way he understood it, I told him that I'm panicking, and I actually looked at what he wrote, and he said that I have panic disorder. And he looked up in the pages and said, for panic disorder, which is a serious condition, uh, first of all, benzo should be the last resort, for my understanding. But in any case, he he basically said, okay, between half and 1 milligram, uh, once or twice a day, or as needed. He basically told me that I can take, like, do what you want, whatever you want. Now, that's equivalent to taking 2 to 4 milligrams of clonazepam a day. That's the equivalent of 8 to 16 milligrams of lorazepam, and it's the equivalent of 40 to 80 milligrams of Valium, which is insane. It's a very 80 milligrams of Valium is an insane amount that you wouldn't give someone who has a financial problem and is getting an anxiety attack. So he gave me that, um, and then basically I asked him when I left, which is a huge mistake. So what happens if I take it? Because I'm going to start another SSRI, and it could have like side effects that I might have to take it for a long time before I see a change. So I know that you're supposed to take it between, like, for a short time. Uh, Back then, I think it was, they said 2 to 4 weeks, which is also like crazy. Like, why would you say the maximum amount is 2 to 4 weeks? Like something to something. It needs to have like a limit that is set in stone. Not what do you mean, like 2 to 4 weeks? And what if I take it for three? It's really weird the way that they say, how much time you need to take it. But and he said, come as I talk it, like this. Worst case, will taper you, and we said goodbye. So because I already tapered an SSRI and it was easy for me, I was under the impression that it's the same. No one told me what an addiction would look like if I have an addiction to it. I mean, SSRI, you're also really, physically dependent on it. That's why you can't just stop it. And also today, I know that a lot of people have similar or even worse sometimes symptoms from coming off SSRIs. And you need to do the taper the same way that you do benzos, which is like 5 to 10%. The guideline, the right guideline would be 5 to 10% from the previous dose every 2 to 4 weeks. So whatever you can tolerate, but basically very slow. Um, and in that context, even if it was just over 8 weeks of a taper, why would I take something that I need to taper and suffer? I thought that it would be like easy because I did the SSRI, and if I do it slowly, I won't suffer. But that's not the case. Um, so yeah, basically, I started taking Clonazepam, and after like I was still doing really bad. It didn't really it helped me go to sleep, but I was also tired during the week. But I felt that I needed to survive, and then uh, 2 weeks after I got back there and I got a prescription for two. Like he gave me two options, either to paroxetine, which is really just like it was stupid because it was basically just like taking um, Setraline, or taking Mirtazapine, and I chose Mirtazapine. Looked a bit scary to me. By the way, I would be offered Mirtazapine quite a few times by different people, by different like a psychiatrist, a GP, the ADOCs, like a lot of organizations and doctors, doing my story. And it's a horrible drug. And I would be one of the psychiatrists that I saw here actually gaslighted me, said it's very easily tolerated. It's not addictive. People, you just take it as needed. It's not how you take Mirtazapine. It's a really difficult drug to get off. And so is paroxetine, by the way. And and so I started I started taking it. I I'm s- I beat myself over it because I thought I'm a smart guy. I mean I should have Googled. I shouldn't have trusted them. I already know the doctors, but not always know everything. But something, I just felt like it's he knows, maybe he knows what he's saying, maybe, and I should give it a go. I never had a problem before with those things, so why should I start having problems? And I didn't understand that I feel so bad, not because I'm without my SSR, but it was the benzos. A lot of it was part of that. And um and yeah, and when I started taking it, like when I started taking the benzo, sorry, the benzo, the SSRI. Again, I'm sorry that I'm still a bit brain fogged from all of this. Uh, I'm not 100% yet. He said, um, I started to have really bad. I started to have really bad reaction. I was when I started, it was like the opposite. I started to be even more depressed. I would walk on the beach and I would just cry. Literally, I used to say that I'm going to the beach to cry like a bitch. Still had some humor, but I was very very scared. The whole situation was, just intolerable. I was barely holding myself together. I had to get tenants for here. I needed to adult. I needed to. I mean, I still had all my financial problems. I still had like to, I had to somehow make sure that I have some income, and and so the whole situation was still kind of like very traumatic, and I was really doing really badly. And then at the end, I would still talk to my mom, but she didn't really understand how long I was taking the benzos. And then, luckily, despite the fact that he said between half and what, like between 2 and 4 milligrams a day, I was taking 1 milligram during the day and 1.5 usually in the evening, between 1 and 1.5. I didn't even understand that if I take it, like because the way of he described of how to take it, I thought I could just take it as, sometimes I take some of this amount, sometimes I take that amount, and see how it goes, all of that. So I took 1 milligram, like I said, 1 milligram and then 1.5 or one at night, and I was so tired, and I didn't even understand that it's 4 times more potent than Lorazepam in terms of like equivalence in milligrams, and then I'm really sedating myself badly, and probably maybe one of the reasons why I was actually so depressed was not just starting the paroxetine was, but because they sort of like put it me on the benzos to start me on the paroxetine, which is completely, today I know that it's completely weird and insane, and you should never mix, um, you know, uh, psychiatric drugs. It's called polydrugging. Uh, Thrown, no one is happy about it in the benzo groups. It's usually like making things so much worse. Um, but yeah, that was happening, and I was really scared. And then at the end, like I think it was the 1st of March, I was going to get a psychiatric evaluation by an online, like a telehealth. We call it telehealth here, a psychiatrist from my health fund, HIF. Now, the reason why I was able to get that was because they still had a service from basically from the COVID era, that you would get like it's like a health help for people that are distressed during the pandemic. So they still had that, and they told me we can actually do that for you. It will be free. So at the beginning, I was just talking to like a nurse, and they didn't really help me much, but they were nice. And then the appointment with the doctor was, I think, scheduled. I don't remember exact date. I can find out the moment. That doesn't really matter. But it was basically, I think, at the 1st of March or something like around plus minus 2 days. And sorry, not the first. A few days after. Um, on the 1st of March, I stopped taking. My mom begged me to stop. She figured out that I'm taking all this benzo, and she begged me to stop taking it cold turkey. It was still within the month. Like I thought that it was just above the month, because I did take a few days the lorazepam a few days before the 1st of February, and I forgot that February is actually like a 28-day um, month. So the 1st of March, that's why I think it was the 1st of March or the second, is was I was like, I already took it for a month. I can't just stop. So she said, well, at least reduce it. So I said, okay, I'll take. She said, just take it once a day, the same amount, and I said, okay, I'll take it. I'll do that. Neither me or her understood what was going to happen, um, and so after that, I took it for. I took the. I took it for just once a day. I think in the evening, and I was still feeling like shit, and it was getting worse and really bad, and my family was already very worried, and my sister was very worried, and they knew about my financial problems, and I, a few days after, I had the meeting with the psychiatrist, and I told her my whole life story, over an hour. It's probably already, again, I'm like, it's getting a lot, but yeah, I only have 20 minutes left on this, so I'll try to make it faster. I might make another part, but basically, I took that. Um, I took that. I took. Uh, I had the meeting with her, and I talked about about everything in my life that was causing me, basically from childhood, basically, and I told her that I'm taking this, and really what I need is help with that. And it was too late, but she said, I told her that my mom told me to cut it by 1 milligram, and I wanted confirmation from a psychiatrist to say that that's what I should do. And she said, yes, you can try to get it down to 1 milligram. Give it a go. Now, that would be all fine and dandy if I could actually reach her later. But it was a one-off, and I was yeah, I took it. I kept taking 1 milligram, and that night I went to sleep, and I put in my music. I usually listen with my music and stuff like that. I tried something new, but yeah, I'm used to it. That's how I go to sleep every night. And I woke up after 1 hour to what I can only describe as insanity. I had no idea who I am. I I was in a lot of in terror, in terror. It's hard to describe to someone who hasn't been through it, but I was in terror, like I'm in a different universe, and that universe, I'm someone else, and it's like I'm doomed. And I got up, I looked at my uh, in the bedroom on my uh, the window, and I had blinds there, and I literally, it's not voices, but it's like I have another someone who's talking to me in my head, like your inner voice. My vision was blocked, as if like I can only see like a very narrow line of vision. Not I didn't have the angle of vision that normally you have, like very wide. And they were telling me things that don't make sense. That I need to sell my blinds or something. That's what I remember. There were a lot of things, but that's something that I remember. It's a little bit like a dream in the fact that you don't remember everything, and also be like a fever dream in that it doesn't make sense. It's like all abstract a little bit, and I was scared, and I started to walk it off in the hall. I'm alone. I live by myself, and only with my cat back then. Um, and and I just didn't know what to do. And then I it was 2 a.m. or something, 1 a.m. because I got to sleep late, but it wasn't that late. I think I went to sleep around midnight. I don't know. And I woke up, and I walked the living room, and and little by little I got back to myself. But it wasn't immediate. It took a good minute. And a minute in a minute in in this state is a long time. And I was petrified. I was really petrified. I mean, with all everything that was happening to me um, already, and I called my mom, which I didn't want to do. I'm kind of like a very compassionate person. I didn't want to wake up my poor mom, and but I had to because I thought that I was really scared. I thought that I need to go to the psychic ward, and luckily, actually, I think it's actually a luck that I did it. Maybe it could have gone either way, but from the stories that I hear now, a lot of my Benzo friends were harmed in the hospital, in the psych ward. They gave them like drugs that were inappropriate. I even know one that actually get free psychiatrics, because 5 years after she's still suffering for what they did to her in New South Wales. But I talked to my mom, and I told her what happened. She didn't really understand. I think a lot of people, even my mom, like they don't understand what it is, when that happened. I don't think anyone, there's not a lot of people that understand it. And then she talked to me, and she said I was scared, but I was okay. And she said, "Look, you talk normally. You look you're you can I can talk to you and understand you, and everything it looks okay. I suggest that you go to sleep, and we'll talk about it tomorrow. Try to go back to sleep. Don't be scared. Just go back to sleep." And I tried, and every time I would close my eyes, I would start to have a what I call a closed eye hallucination. I It's something that a lot of people have. It's called hypnagogic, I think, hallucinations. Uh, there's hypnagogic and hypnopompic. I don't remember which one is what. Let's find out. Because after that, I was gaslighted by the doctor. Also, he told me that's what you have. Go home. But that's as in like, oh, that's fine. That's all good. Uh, I have a name for it. So, but it's not this. It's not exactly during the transition period to sleep or to wakefulness. So that's in the beginning. So hypnopompic is when you wake up, and hypnagogic is when you go to sleep. And it's not that scary. I'm you know, when I go to sleep, sometimes when I close my eyes just before I go to sleep, I start to see like a little movie, not a scary movie, just like like I'm going in a train or something. I'm seeing like the city moves by, and I never was scared by it. But it was nothing like that. It was way worse. It was like I'm literally starting to see a movie and interact with people while awake. And also, but the perception and what you think is real changes. And every time it would end up with a jolt to the chest, right here, like right in the middle, and then it would just disappear from my closed eyes, and it hurts, and I could not fall asleep. And I think that was just it's something that happens also in benzo withdrawal, but it was adrenaline. I don't know what it was, but it was as disturbing. I don't know how to say it. Disturbing. You know what I mean. I'm almost losing my English while I'm recording this, but yeah, um, yeah. So basically, it was really scary. Um, during when everyone woke up in the morning, my sister sort of took control. She saved me quite a few times during that, and she said, "Guy, pick yourself. Come to live with mom and dad for a bit." She was worried about me. My sister has two children, so that were sweetest twins, and that I love so much, and yeah, and so I was going. They live close by. They don't live close by to me. That's the biggest problem. I live in the Gold Coast. They live in Brisbane. It's not the other side of the world like it was before, but there's still like an hour and a half drive, and when you're like in this state, still like 90 kilometers away. At the beginning, they thought they'll come and pick me up, but I didn't want to lose my dependence completely, and I wanted my car, and I felt okay, even though I didn't sleep at night. Sometimes when you're so pumped up with adrenaline, you still like in the morning you can still function. I know all about it because the army actually had like the worst experience was to be in a base where that was happening all the time. We didn't sleep, and then one day, if you don't sleep one night you'll be okay. The next day, and some nights you'll just be like suffering so much. It really is really depends on what happens. But anyway, going back to this, I I told them, okay, I'm going to pack myself. I have my cat here. I left her. I had to take care, like leave her a lot of food. She would poop in the. She would go outside, but she would poop in the bathroom because she had a trauma from a cat outside, and so it was a bit of like I was sure I'm going to go back to the house all poopy, but I had to leave her a lot of food and a lot of water, and I was worried. I wanted to leave like a camera. I mean, I didn't think that I will be able to go back so soon anyway, and um, and so I did all of that. I drove to my parents. I packed myself with everything that I needed. Um, and when I got to my parents' place, and I saw my sister, my mom uh, was still like resting because they already had like agreed to help me with $10,000 if I need it. Um, but and that was like they had a discussion. My sister had a discussion with my parents to make sure that I can, that to reduce my stress, and I was yeah, I saw my sister and I started crying like crazy. I cried and cried and cried, and then we went to the pool. My parents have a pool, which is really nice, and we sat there and I kept crying and I kept crying and I kept crying. And then my mom saw me, and we started talking, and I told her what's going on, and it was confusing. Um, but she said, "Okay, you're going to sleep here. Like you'll feel safer. I mean, I'll feel safer around them, but keep the dose at 1 milligram. It's a poison. You don't want to. If you can somehow go through this and not increase the dose, that would be the best." Um, and I was willing to try. So I spent the day there. I felt more secure. I felt better, but it's not my bed. Like I was sleeping in another bed. The aircon was splitting. I have a very. The problem is that I was only a light sleeper, and the way that I sleep is kind of very unique. I won't say unique. It's I don't. I think I had other people do, but I'm fully dressed up, covered. Uh, Summer, winter doesn't matter. Like two sets of socks, heavy, like not heavy. I have a heavy blanket now, but like a nice big blanket. Aircon, lowest that it can get. Music in my ears or earplugs. Used to be music as in like meditation music. Um, and covering my eyes, and I have a CPAP machine because I have sleep apnea. So it was when I went to sleep there. I mean, the thing is, I was super anxious. I was in withdrawal, and I didn't know it, but I was in withdrawal, and I already started to Google, and it was scary. Like I was like scared, and I think none of us wanted to believe what we were seeing. My mom took me over the next few days. I had the same thing happen, um, and I at some point I increased the dose to 1.5, but I didn't sleep for quite a few days. It became really scary. I would count the minutes. I would walk the house. It was very disruptive for my mom as well because I sometimes would wake her up, just hysterical. I was so tired. I was so tired. I would literally just fall in front of her and say like I don't know what to do. And because every time I went to sleep, I would have those either that or another thing that would happen is if I would wake up from some half hallucination. I would say wake up, but I didn't really go to sleep. It was like in between. I saw. They told me to go to sleep. My sister was like, "Go to sleep with the light on." I always sleep with the light on. But your other sister always sleep with the light. I have two sisters, so I'm talking about the older one, the one that's 4 years younger than me, because the other one is 20 years younger than me, and she was like, "Go to sleep with the light on." I always sleep with the TV on, and I said, "I can't sleep. So another thing I need is like full darkness." And I have an eye cover, and she said, "No, no, no. Sleep with like you feel safer." So I tried it one night, and all that happened was that there was we used to watch this show about arranged marriages in India. That was really interesting. It's like a reality show, and that night, sorry if that sounds racist. It's not. I love Indians. My tenants are Indians, and I just adore them, and and adore. I just love those people. So absolutely nothing to do with that. But obviously, there's the scammers that call you and try to get money out of you that you see on the videos all the time, like how people, and I think that sort of got into it, and because I'm in fight or flight mode, which is the withdrawal of benzos. I I I basically was hallucinating that my those Indians in the show are trying to scam my parents out of all their money, and I'm the only one who's like I'm fighting it. So I would know there was part of me that knew that like this is bullshit, but it's so difficult those thoughts and those hallucinations, you literally hallucinations would happen, and I was not sleeping. It was way more than lucid dream. I was awake, but it just that's like being forced, raped, mind raped, with those thoughts and that you don't want, with those hallucinations that you don't want, with those beliefs that you don't want, that suddenly like fall on you. And yeah, the night ended with me like basically fighting those scammers because they were winning, and absolutely horrible. And when this happens, you also wake up and you don't want to go to sleep anymore. And to add to this, I started to have electricity running all through my body whenever that happened, which was super scary. It's like you have pins and needles, just much more intense. Like you're being electrocuted. So I actually talked to someone today, helped someone today, who was much more harmed than me, and he said that that's what he has. Like it feels like electrocuted. I said you finally gave me the word for it, like the name, what to call it. It's like you're being electrocuted, just like in a wave, and and I was miserable, and I couldn't watch anything really that had like any drama in it. I became super sensitive to noise. I became sensitive to anything that has to TV. My parents would watch news from Israel. I couldn't even look at the TV. So it's very boring too. So you have a lot of time to think about what's happening. Um, yeah, so I'm getting very close to the end of like it's already 74 minutes. So we'll have to go. We'll have to do this part one. And someone is also messaging me, but yeah, we'll call this part one. Basically, after 6 days, I went to the hospital again, and that's a whole different story. What happened then? Um, yeah, so we'll do it in part two. Um, I'll I'll keep you posted, and I'll do another one. I'm sorry it's very long. If you watched all of this, you're a hero. All of me bubbling and going everywhere. But yeah, thank you so much for watching this. I do hope that all those things will give you, maybe you can identify with us. Maybe you can, at the end of the day, all I want to do is for people not to go through what I went through. So it is important for me for people to watch it and understand what's going on. The next would be much more. I think I'll finish it in one part because it will just be about all the setbacks that I had, everything that I took to that helped me at some stage, all the times that I thought that this is it, like I don't know what's going to happen to me. I'm screwed. I'm fucked. I'm everything, and yeah. All right. See you in the next one.